How can you say that? How can you do this to BJ?
Any decision I make is done with BJ's best interests at heart.
Not from where I'm standing. Mason, we're her parents. She needs us. You sit there behind that big fancy desk of yours wearing that judicial robe
No,
he's passing a sentence on BJ that's going to totally isolate her at the most frightening moment of her life. How that's supposed to help her totally escapes me.
Jody, you understand the way the system works. And I expect you to also understand my position. I have an obligation, morally and legally, to presume BJ's innocence until proven otherwise, and to protect that presumption of that innocence. That's why I do not think you should be there.
I'm afraid you're going to have to explain that to me one more time.
Please. We shouldn't be having this conversation. You're both officers of the law. You know how extremely inappropriate this is.
We understand that. We were just hoping maybe you'd make an exception for us.
You know, this outburst is a perfect illustration of my dilemma. Jody, you're a volatile woman. You're prone to explode when all the right buttons are pushed. I'm not saying that's wrong, or that you have no right to feel angry and frustrated. But think what kind of toll this takes, this kind of behavior, on your daughter. She's fighting for her life right now, literally.
Oh.
Now, God willing, she will never have to face such an ordeal ever again. But these emotional outbursts are a distraction at best, and at worst, they could bias the jury against BJ. And I will not allow anyone, you or anyone, into that courtroom if I expect to see the kind of behavior I have seen thus far. Not for the sake of decorum, but for the sake of BJ.
I hear you loud and clear, Mason. And I speak for the two of us when I say the outbursts are over. They're over. We have to be there for BJ. And if controlling ourselves is the only way you're going to allow that to happen, then you have my word.
All right, I'll reopen the court to spectators, but if I hear so much as a loud exhalation of breath...
No, it's not going to happen.
All right, it's time to begin. I'll see you inside.
Mason. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, you always were better at common sense than I was.
Just balance. That's always what we had going for us. Our daughter's waiting.
Right.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Be seated.
Please state your name for the record.
Dr. Skyler Gates.
Dr. Gates, you're a psychiatrist.
By occupation, aren't you?
That's right.
Are you familiar with the defendant?
Yes, she's one of my patients.
Is it fair to say that you can offer testimony as to BJ's state of mind?
Yes.
When did you start seeing the defendant professionally?
Right after the events that led to this trial occurred.
Is it fair to say that the major focus of your discussions were about Frank Goodman?
Very much so.
As you came to know BJ, what observations did you make about her?
Well, she lacks self-esteem. She feels that it's very difficult to believe that someone could love her. She exhibits a tendency, even a willingness, to shoulder the blame for the misfortunes of everyone around her.
Based on these observations, were you able to draw any conclusions about BJ's character?
Yes.
Would you please tell the court what they were?
B.J. Walker exhibits all the traits commonly associated with abuse victims.
You say that with such conviction, Dr. Gates. Would you consider yourself an expert on the subject of victim profiles?
Yes, I've written several articles and I've been accredited by several universities as an expert on the subject.
Well, then perhaps you can shed not only light on BJ's profile, but on Frank Goodman's profile as well.
Objection! Sustained. I'll meet with both counsels in chambers. Well, Miss Gapwell, it had better be good.
No explanations are necessary, Your Honor. This is about smoke and mirrors, about trickery and deceit. It's about sneaking an expert witness on the stand. One defense counsel is well aware I haven't had the least amount of time to prepare for.
We're listening, counsel.